Hi, I'm Dan. I'm the new library trustee. And believe it or not, I'm saving the library some money. Last month at the meeting, I happened to see the ad for the new reference librarian that they want to hire. Well, the salary's $24,000. When you compare that to the book budget, that's a lot of money to pay a librarian. I mean, most people in this town don't even make that kind of money. Well, I told that to the library director. She actually told me that $24K is a starting point, that we'd be lucky to get somebody for that. Well, I took it to the board and I asked that we lower the starting salary to $18,000. So, we'd have more money to spend on books. Oh, and then I also suggested that we take some of the money that we set aside for our roof replacement next year and invest it into Steve Johnson's lumber mill expansion and Technoflave, a brand new software company that my cousin told me about. I mean, hey, that money's just sitting there, right? It's earning 5%. Well, we could be doubling it. Heck, the county commissioners owe us a check anyway. What's the harm? Also, I found out that we were spending $50 a month on printer paper and $150 a month on toilet paper. So I brought this up to the board. I tried to convince them that we should only allow the library staff to use 30 pieces of printer paper a week, to cut down on costs. And that we should switch the toilet paper from Charmin to that nice thick wood chip kind that Steve Johnson will be manufacturing once the mill starts expanding. The board tabled those two motions, but they said that they would talk about them next time. I don't know why the director got so mad. I mean, I was just trying to save the library some money. Well, I decided to call my Uncle Jack. He's the chair of his library board, and I wanted to share with him some of my great ideas and maybe give him some advice for once.
When Dan called, he was really excited. However, once I heard his ideas, I was disappointed and had to tell Dan that he may have been off base, even though he had the best intentions. Always a schemer, like most of your other relatives.
No, dear. It's just like a man. Once he gets an idea embedded in his brain, no matter how ridiculous, it takes a hammer to knock it loose.
And they say men are from Mars. Anyway, I told Dan that library finances can be really complicated. There are state laws to consider, local rules, all sorts of stuff. So I told Dan that he should start by focusing on a few key points that have often come up in my years as a library trustee. One of the first things that most trustees are told when accepting their job is that the library board has a legal responsibility for receiving money and property to maintain and operate the library system. But unless the board can spend lots of time understanding and analyzing all the budget categories and library purchases, it can't make a good decision about funding. Unless the board understands the cash flow and cash carryover and how those affect purchases, it cannot make very good decisions, and therefore should leave some of the agreed upon decisions up to the library director.
The board should not be involved in determining salaries for new employees because the director knows more about the responsibilities, special skills, and knowledge required. The director also knows local and regional library salaries, the current library market, and the experience of the candidates. She can determine the actual starting salary knowing these factors. Instead, the board should focus on defining pay ranges and the career ladder for advancement.
Part of the board's money management responsibilities involves working with the director to create a budget. Once the budget is finalized, the board needs to put a lot of confidence in its director and delegate much of the financial decisions to her. The board agreed on this year's budget after studying it through the year and developing the final proposal with the director.
The board should allow the director to work within that budget to pay salaries, pay ongoing operating costs, and maximize every tax dollar for the library through investments, partnerships, and library technologies. In today's environment, the director has a network of peers in the state who can provide advice and experiences in the library fiscal matters. The board needs to have confidence in the director's ability to make sound financial decisions. If it does not, then the board has an issue that needs to be resolved immediately.
I told Dan that while the director is busy managing the day-to-day expenses of the library, the board needs to spend its time making sure that it has workable financial policies so the director knows the umbrella of authority under which she or he can manage. The board needs to regularly discuss the investment policy so that available revenues can be turned into protected short-term interest-bearing deposits.
The board needs to look at its policies on contracts so the director knows how much she can spend with vendors and contractors without having to get board approval. The board also needs to look at budget line transfer policies so the director knows what flexibility is available without prior board approval.
One of the tools for the library board in determining the quality of financial management practiced by the director is the annual audit conducted on the budget. Auditors can identify weaknesses in such things as security for cash that comes into the library, or recommending improved procedures for accounts payable, or ensure any grants received are expended and reported properly.
The library board's lead role in the library finances is to understand the budget and regularly advocate to the commissioners for increased revenue for salaries, operations, and facilities. Board members should be prepared to fully defend every aspect of the budget. Knowing the library's priorities for added products or services is very important. Knowing the inequity in salaries for library employees in relation to other county employees is also important. Knowing what information resources can do to help local government and residents is important. Telling stories about library successes and roles can be the difference in increased funding for next year. I also told Dan that once the board starts micromanaging the director in the finances, it can set in motion a continuing situation in which the director won't make decisions but bring all of them back to the board. Micromanaging the finances and other operations may make the director gun-shy, and that can spiral into an ineffective director. Moreover, many great library directors will not tolerate this type of micromanagement and will begin looking for a new library to manage, thus leaving the board to deal with all of the financial and personnel management tasks on their own.
Holy crap! I guess I really did goof. But I am still learning. Well, though I still think the $24,000 is way too much to pay a librarian, I'm just going to let the director handle the salaries. And I think I'll let the librarian handle that whole printer paper fiasco. But I'm still demanding that we use that cheaper toilet paper. No sense flushing money right down the drain. Oh, and Velma, that cute new reference librarian? I'm going to ask her to dinner. I just want to discuss her collection development budget.
Here are some questions that your board should consider. How involved should the board be in developing the budget? Once the budget is approved, does the board need to sign all the checks? Or is there a more efficient way to handle the library's day-to-day expenses? Why should the board chair present the budget to the commissioners?